It's Here First from IPR. Hey, I'm Megan McKinney. Governor Kim Reynolds signed that property tax bill into law, and now the city of Des Moines is preparing for a budget shortfall for next year. It's Tuesday, May 19th. Governor Kim Reynolds has signed a bill into law she says will provide about $4 billion in property tax savings over 6 years. Here's more from IPR's Katerina Sostarek.
The new law puts a 2% cap on city and county general revenue growth. There are exceptions for new construction and levies that fund things like debt service, insurance, and employee benefits. Reynolds says this addresses government spending, which she says is the root cause of property tax increases.
By capping revenue growth at 2%, with clear guidelines and expectations, this bill brings certainty and discipline to a process that needed both.
The law also changes the homestead tax credit to a 10% homestead exemption up to $20,000. It lowers property taxes paid to school districts over the next 3 years, with the legislature promising to pay the difference. And apartment building owners will pay taxes on a higher share of their property's value compared to single-family homes. I'm Katerina Sostarek, IPR News.
The city of Des Moines could face a $12 million budget shortfall under the state's new property tax changes. That's based on early estimates for the budget period starting a little over a year from now. City employees blame a hard cap in the law that limits city revenue growth at 2%, with some exceptions. They say the budget was already facing challenges before the changes. Des Moines Mayor Connie Boson says the new property tax law hurts city services.
We're rebuilding, unlike the newer, suburban communities. So we have every bridge we rebuild, all the levees we redo, all the roads that we need to do. Those are things. So I don't call this a property tax reduction bill. I call it a service cut bill.
The revenue limits take effect in July of 2027, but the city could make cuts this upcoming fiscal year to lessen the impact, like leaving vacant positions unfilled. State auditor and Democratic candidate for governor Rob Sand says he'd prioritize putting more restrictions on pharmacy benefit managers if he was elected. PBMs are middlemen between prescription drug manufacturers, pharmacies, and insurance companies. The Republican legislature passed a law last year regulating PBMs, which is partly held up in court. Sand says more action is needed, but didn't provide many details.
And I think if we're going to do something that's both going to improve the quality of care for Iowans, but also lower costs for Iowans, no matter who is selling them their prescription drugs, it's these kind of reforms.
Brian Wall with the Iowa Pharmacy Association says there's been some improvement with the PBM law that passed last year, but he says the state needs to do more as pharmacies are still closing because PBMs force them to operate at a loss. 2 Republicans are trying to fill the 2nd District House seat left open by incumbent Ashley Hinson, who is running for Senate. As IPR's Sheila Brummer reports, even though one candidate hasn't raised as much money for his campaign, he hopes his experience will help him win the primary.
Republican Joe Mitchell, who is endorsed by President Donald Trump, raised more than $1 million in individual contributions. His opponent, Iowa Senator Charlie McClintock, brought in about $9,000. McClintock says money should be removed from politics and a greater focus put on a candidate's character.
If you don't mind the way Congress is with the money and the power and all this and that, there'll be 2 choices on the ballot. Pick the other choice and keep going. But if you want to try to make the change, what I'm asking for won't cost you a nickel, and that's your vote.
McClintock retired from the Cedar Rapids Police Department last year. He says people in the 2nd District want lawmakers to focus on education, the economy, and public safety. Mitchell, a real estate developer from Clear Lake, served 2 terms in the Iowa House. He recently worked as the regional director of HUD for the Trump administration. I'm Sheila Brummer, IPR News.
And I'm Megan McKinney. Get ready for the primaries with IPR's election coverage at IPR.org. Thanks for listening to Here First today. Have a great Tuesday.